such an asshole.
So we have one of these classical requests, like, if you were king, what would you do? And the problem is, like, if I was president, right, and how to follow the rules, is it just a wish list of things I'd like to see? Do you want me to factor in the feasibility of what we can do? Because if like I'm a dictator, I could just order it, right? But if we're in the United States, you got to play by some rules. So I kind of did. I did benevolent dictator, where I'd push the limits of the Constitution, or in some cases, I know it would violate it, but it would still be like, well, this is what I'd like to happen. But we would have to send federal troops in, like the public school systems, which is states. That's states' rights. But I'd be like, nah, fuck you. Nope. We're federalized. I don't care how you do it. You find a legal loophole, or wait, we just do it. Like, yeah, okay, stop us. But then that creates problems. But anyway, so it's not just this. So a real simple one. What would you do as dictator supreme for life? And then you don't have to worry about any of the rules. So I'll go through it. Hello, Cappy. As now known, the media tried to bury a gruesome black-on-white crime story that resulted in the murder of a 23-year-old Ukrainian woman in broad daylight. While the subject is hot, I'd like to hear full-blown rant on what Cappy would do if you were any of the following: one, dictator, mafia-type president, or top advisor to Trump administration. So we kind of got both. So, and oh, by the way, I could go on forever. He was wondering, did you get my request? I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm thinking about it. And I got a long list, but we could go on for days. I mean, really, we could go down to the granular level. Like, if you're on the interstate system and you're driving slow in the left lane, holding up traffic, yeah, you get pulled over. Yeah, you get fined. No need to limit yourself to just dealing with the perpetrator and the judge. You may address the rot in the public schools or access areas that fed the public with seething hatred towards a specific group of people. Thank you, and keep you anonymous. So let me pull up my notey notes. And this is in no particular order. All right, first, I would ban the welfare state, including phasing out Social Security. I would have a constitutional amendment, which, again, obviously I want to be a dictator then, where the governments combine, state, federal, and local. The public sector cannot consume more than 10% of GDP. So ever so roughly, that would break down between half federal, a quarter state, a quarter local. But that's it. In other words, the American public cannot have more than 10% of their labor, taken from them. And without the welfare state, that means all the money is going to go to actual public goods that will benefit everyone, like bridges and very boring stuff, judicial stuff, regulatory agencies, the military, or in the case of local governments, the cops. Balanced budget amendment. I would investigate every congressman and woman alive, either serving or former, and have a tax audit done on them. I would send out the military to arrest and investigate every foreign influencer bribing and affecting elections in our government, to have a chat. Like, if there's any foreign influence, anyone that is not American try to affect American politics, in other words, subverting the American people, yeah, I would view that as an attack on our sovereignty. And it would be like it'd probably be more like terrorism. I'd be like, okay, you're not trying to kill us, but you are trying to influence us. You aren't us. Want to come here and become a citizen? Fine. You get one vote and you get to shut the fuck up. So any foreign influence would be investigated and dealt with, let's say, depending on the severity. I'd federalize all education, remove all politics, and filter for all political teachers out of the system. There's no politics. Left or right, there's no politics. You'll be reading, writing, and arithmetic, and the politics will have to be the parents and the individual children themselves. I would also come up with a blacklist, any teachers that were caught. Like, we'd go through the social media before we'd even go in. We'd have like, okay, what are they doing? We're going to go inside, and then we'd install cameras and everything, and we'd just make sure that there's no politics being taught in the schools. Civics and government would be taught in the schools. History would be taught in the schools, but there's no politics. And so if we found it, you're fired, you're out, you're banned. So there's that. Corporate tax. Let me explain my somewhat more complicated corporate tax system. Corporate tax would be set to 0. And if you fuck around, you will find out. and then you'll pay a corporate tax. So, for example, right, if you come in and you're a corporation and you make a good product at a fair price and you're not fucking around, not donating to political parties, you're not in shitifying your product, you're not posting fake you're just not fucking around. You are a good corporate citizen of this country, your tax rate is 0. You start fucking around, the corporate tax rates go up. Oh, you got DEI? Fucking 20% corporate tax. It'd be like a menu. And we'd have agents, like the IRS would be repurposed to find out, all right, what are they doing? You donated to a lobbyist, there's another 10% corporate tax. Matter of fact, I would just, whatever you're donating to the lobbyist group, I would think, you're like, okay, now you're paying that in taxes. So whatever you donate to a lobbyist group, you're getting taxed that. You're not paying a fair wage. You require ridiculous levels of education for a job that doesn't require it. You got some HR bitch just throwing people's resumes in the bins. Yeah, you get to pay a tax. You hire foreigners when you obviously did not put an effort into finding local Americans, you get a tax. So it'd be very simple, like, hey, 0% taxes. The second I smell you fucking around, right? The Corporate Smelling Commission, that'd be a department within the IRS. The second I smell you fucking around, you get to start paying taxes. And then it would go all the way up to 100%, at which point the federal government is your total shareholder because we get all the money. And then I would nationalize you and then we'd sell you on the market and use the proceeds to go and say, okay, well, we own you. All right. Or you just keep paying us all your money. I guess either way, it wouldn't matter from an ownership standpoint, but I don't want to like send in a board of directors and manage it. That's not the government's business. But if you're such a bad corporate citizen that the government ends up just taking 100% of, well, we effectively own all the shares then. And then I say, okay, well, we're reselling the shares. Oh, look at all this money we made. Oh, I guess we could pay off the student loan debt with that. Interesting. So there's that. Related to the corporate tax structure, I would have a partial student loan bailout, which might sound surprising coming from me, but it would only bail out students of 2/3 their debt. It would be paid for with what I estimate to be about 1.5 years total corporate tax collection on. I'm probably going to go, I'd have to look into it. Definitely all publicly traded firms, but if you're a certain size or larger, and I'd probably even have to do some auditing and find out, did you ever utter the words bachelor's required, master's preferred? Unnecessarily requiring people get a college degree so that they might work at your place to not earn a living wage. So it would take some investigation, but I try to find the corporations that were responsible for unnecessarily requiring 3 generations of young people to get an education that they were never going to pay or hire for. And you guys would pay, I'd have to look at the numbers, but about half of that 2/3 bailout, right? The students would still have to pay 1/3 as a punishment for being stupid. And then I would confiscate all the endowments of the schools, the colleges and universities, and have that go into fund to bail it. And then we'd have like, nope, there's no more federal loans. We're never lending money for that. Would end. You're paying cash. And all the universities and colleges would have to lower their tuitions. So you're not going to have sports teams. You're not going to have coliseums. You're not going to have you're going to educate the fucking kids. This is going to be a money-making operation for our most worst and degenerate filth, academians. That shit is fucking over. And then we'd have a jobs program for academians. It's called Sucking Dick at the Truck Stop. How to get on your knees. There would be your program for you. I would mandate training from corporations instead of degrees. It would come to this. It'd have to be a while, but soon we could back off on this. But we'd audit. God damn it, if I could, I'd audit every job. Say, does this need a college degree or can you train them? I would say, nope, you're going to train people. You're training people. You are not requiring a 4-year education for training that will take 2 weeks. You will give young people training, but then they'll just go wait for someone else. That is your fucking problem, and I'm making it your problem. If you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. Go to India, go to Pakistan, go to wherever you think, go to China, but you're not here anymore. I don't know. I'd kick out every immigrant unless they had a special skill, right? And I'd make them apply the regular way, the legal way, or at least get them a work visa, right? Everyone's out. Everyone's out. Unless you're like a doctor or a surgeon, like some critical, a genuine person. We're going through every single immigrant in this country. And if we find, by the way, you're not going to get an audience, right? You got to, you have a degree, you have a background, you're a skilled tradesman. All right. You're coming through here, you're getting a temporary visa, work visa, because you got skills. We can use that. And you got a family and 3 of them are living off of welfare. They're all going the fuck home and you're staying here if you want. You don't have to. But if you're like, I mopped the floors, get the fuck out. You know, you're an accountant. Yeah, okay. We'd look at it. But yeah, for the most part, we'd be just keeping the cream of the crop and everyone gets the fuck back home. I don't think I had it here. That reminds me, there will be federal law standards in every election, state, federal, and local. There will be federal agents that will follow the voting ballot boxes. We will have 100% integrity in our voting system in our elections. There will be no mail-in ballots. There's not, I'm coming in, I'm voting out. Nope. You will drag your fucking ass to the polls and you will vote in person, and we will have all elections, state, federal, and local, will be audited. So there's none of that. So in other words, to prevent the Democrats from cheating, which you do, fuck off. I would put an immediate halt to H-1B visas, and we audit every single one of them. And, I'm 50, I'm like 1090 on it for the most part. Nope, get the fuck out of here. But I'm not so like, no, their immigrants can provide a very tremendous, you want, it's no different than running a basketball team or professional sports team. You want the best talent. Trust me on that. But I think the H-1B process is being abused. I would mandate all schools, K through 12, teach kids an employable skill by 18. I would hunt down and arrest every person who has used government programs as a welfare, jobs, or an embezzlement program for themselves or buddies. So like U.S. aid, that's embezzlement, that's fraud. I'd be going after every single one of those motherfuckers. State, federal, and local. Go look at what was it? There's Food for Families in Minnesota. That was just a fucking racket. Everyone associated, arrested, thrown in jail, sent back to your country. I also think if I ever found some criminal, like aliens committing crimes here, I would brand them. Like I put a thing right here on their arm. And then say, all right. Then you come back, right, under a different name. Let's see your right arm. If there was that brand or there was just something matched up, you had to tap. Nope, you're out. You're out. You're not allowed in. The U.S. would be very isolated for a while until we could clean things up a little bit, and then I'd slowly open it up. All right, what does the rest of the world offer the United States before we start conducting business and letting any of you people in? I would immediately eliminate tax deduction for charities because charities have proven to be scams and money-making operations and grifts. You haven't sold one motherfucking thing. And then I would probably go and investigate every single nonprofit and say, did you solve the problem? I know some problems can't be solved. They can only be treated, so I understand that. But if you were like, we're going to solve this problem, I'm like, okay, how much did you make? Oh, you made that much? And like 2 cents on the dollar made it to the children or the diseased or whatever. Yeah, arrested. Fraud. I would ban panhandling and homelessness. Not that you could eliminate homelessness, but you're not allowed to have tent cities and all that. There's a work camp. I'd set up work camps, or we bring back the asylums, right? You're not going to be laying out on the street, but you're going to get to work. And no paying, none. Sorry, liberal white women, you're going to have to find some other reason for point, purpose, and meaning in life than giving our losers and enabling our degenerates. I don't know. Maybe you could suck your husband's dick or raise your children. I don't know. Just go to the church or get a job or something, but you are not enabling the parasites of our society anymore. You're not enabling and keeping the dregs of society alive. They're going to hit rock bottom. They're going to get jobs. Even if it's like work camp, right? I'd have to, we'll have a very clean. I'd even go to Singapore. I'm like, okay, what are the rules you got? How do you keep homeless in that? Japan, what's the deal? I would debate invading different countries like Sweden and the UK and France to maybe turn them into vassal states and just kind of kick their illegal aliens out because they won't do it. I'd start with the UK. Hey, Kier, how you doing? Canada too. Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah. Yeah. Remember that we paid for your military during the whole Cold War things? Biting you in the ass now. Why don't you get the fuck out of here? Why don't you get the fuck out of here? Yeah, we're gonna clean this place up a little bit. And it'd be like occupied France, occupied Sweden, occupied UK. And then like, no, you wouldn't no, all you obviously can't vote right. Right? That would it'd probably be the most dictatorial thing I'd do. I'd be like, yeah, no, I know a couple guy, like we'd have General MacArthur, right? Yeah, you're in charge of the United Kingdom, you're in charge of Sweden. Uh, just for fun, just for shits and giggles, I might actually make all the Swedish women put on that hands, mane, and tail outfit. I would keep a lot of the rights, right? I would just do it like, yeah, we're gonna do this now. Yeah, just to thumb my nose at you. That'd probably be one of the least things I'm likely to do. Would be more of a funny haha. I'd immediately kick the United Nations. I say, nope, we're just part of the Security Council. Stop funding the United Nations. Kick every single one of them out and ban them from the United States. You're never allowed. I'd brand them too. I'd grab my brand. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Voting age would be increased to 25 and you must pay taxes. But down the road, I have my tax system that would implement where everybody would be paying taxes. So you would have to not collect a government check. I'd have sales tax and no other taxes. You can only have I'd make it that only state, federal, and local. You can only have a sales tax. You get one for price. The main reason is no one has to file tax in return then. And the other main reason is that then you know exactly what government costs you. So every one of you Democrat voting shitheads, I want free shit. I want daycare for everyone. And then whatever, a pack of bubble gum goes up 48%. Like, why is it 48%? Because you voted for all this shit. I also think there would be mandatory. I think there would be some kind of like earnings call. Like if you wanted to vote, you would have to sit down and we would have a public presentation saying, here's where all the revenue came from. Here's where all your revenue is going at state, federal, local. I convert everything to GDP so everyone kind of understands. I say, here's where your money went. Here's how much of your money we took. Here's where it went. Vote accordingly. Don't care who you vote. Well, I guess I'm dictator, so never mind. Just to let you know. Why is there even voting on this if I'm dictator supreme for life? All right, I'd be a benevolent dictator for a while. I guess like Putin. And then I'd like free the reins and like, okay, you can fuck it up now. I'm dead. So, but yeah, if you wanted to vote, you'd have to go through some kind of education. And not even education. It'd just be like, here's a report. Here's where it went. I would make taxes understandable for the average person because right now they're not. Obviously, with thousands of different taxes and hidden little fees and all that. I would immediately offer Saskatchewan and Alberta statehood. Welcome them to join the union. And then parts of British Columbia. I guess some of the territories to connect us to Alaska would be kind of cool. I'm not sure about Ontario, but I'd offer definitely Alberta and Saskatchewan statehood. And like, come on in. And then I just roll those fucking tanks right in, put them on the long ass border, get some drones, get some air. Well, I guess we have military bases there anyway, right? I mean, they're basically ours. Just fucking thumb my nose at those assholes. Hey, Quebec, how you doing without all that oil revenue, huh? Yeah, speaking French and being assholes isn't really huge contributors to GDP now, is it, Canada? Oh, I put Rich Cooper and Rhinestone. They'd be the premiers of. I put them as governors of Saskatchewan and Alberta. Term limits, obviously, and then total time as a politician. So now would I have term limits? You can only serve like 2 terms as a senator or 3 terms as a representative. I would say you cannot have more than 15 years as a politician. So if you start at the local city council and you're there for 10 years and you decide you want to run for president and you get 1 term, okay, there's 14 years. You got 1 year left, okay? And then you're the dog catcher for 1 year. Then you get your ass back into the fucking private sector. You're no longer in politics. I would like Congress. I'd investigate every president and their families alive today. Every single one of you motherfuckers. I pass anti-nepotism and cronyism laws. This is more for corporate America, where the intentions originally of anti-discrimination laws along traits you were born with, I think, were maybe well intended. But a much bigger discrimination is where, go ask Dean Phillips, the micro dick trust fund baby. Go ask Mark Dayton, the micro dick trust fund baby. George Bush, the micro dick trust fund baby, right? It's Junior. Joey Biden, micro dick trust fund baby, but more so in the private sector where it is not merit. That's the main source of discrimination is insiders versus outsiders. That's how you had the housing bubble. That's how you had the dot-com crash. You had people's relatives or buddies getting jobs that they were not qualified for. Or Becky's and Trish's getting hired by their HR bestie. That shit fucking ends. And I think that was the biggest legitimate complaint all people, but mostly Democrats a while ago, younger Democrats a while ago had, where it was a buddy-buddy system. It was. That shit fucking ends. If people could file a complaint, like, I think that person got hired because of cronyism. Or remember the HR lady who was sucking that guy's dick, the astronaut, the ones that got busted at the Coldplay concert? Like, yeah. And then you're just like antitrust. I put that in the antitrust department. Like, you get antitrust lawsuits. Here's what I would do. I just grab every major corporate person. Like, we're going to have a corporate conference. Come on over. Like, it'd have to be a big place, like somewhere out in the desert. And I'd just be on the up and up. I'm like, I will fucking ruin every single one of you motherfuckers. I can't force you. We're not going to go through the individual choices you all have to make in your tens of thousands of businesses to do the right thing. We're not going to go through that. If I smell you acting non-meritocratic, cronyistic, corruption, if I smell it, I'm going to make your lives fucking hell. Right? So it's one of two ways. You're all going to do what's right, whether I'm looking or not, or I'm going to make all your lives fucking hell. By the way, you're going to make a lot more money because the economy is going to work a lot more efficient. So if you can figure it that way, this is in everyone's best interest. But if I smell you posting fake jobs, if I smell you giving your mistress the job, if we find out, we'll come in and go scorch earth on you motherfuckers. I will bury you. And then they'd just be like, oh my God, what happened to that CEO and his entire staff? They're in jail under investigation. Oh my God. What happened? Oh, wow. In an ironic sense, I think for a while, I would be quite a communist. There'd be a lot of nationalization of shit. It would be oddly communistic or fascist, which they're the same. You Democrats are the fascists. That's who you are. But I guess it would be economic fascism in my or communism. Economic fascism is communism. There you go. Watch now some truly small brains. That's actually not you see, fascism is this and no. It's people stealing your shit and telling you what to do. There. You want to call it fascism or communism? I don't give a fuck. If it's a guy with the thin mustache or the bushy mustache, I don't care. It's the same fucking thing. I would grant federal rights to federal rights would trump state rights in the Second Amendment. It would trump all nope. You have the right, stand your ground, castle doctrine, Good Samaritan laws. I don't care what your magazines clips are. Everyone in the United States has a right, and they shall not be infringed. And then some governors, we're gonna limit, and then oh my God, where'd he go? What happened to Governor Schmutzface? I don't know. he said something about limiting the rights of guns in his state. I don't know what happened to him after that. I would immediately eliminate the law that says presidents can't drive after they're elected. That just would be a me thing. Although I'd be dictator, someone followed it anyway. I would investigate every modern art museum in school and the art industry for money laundering. I would get the government out at all levels of marriage unless there were children involved, which would be the Child Safety Protection Division. Divorce is no longer our problem. Here's one that I don't have an answer to. I'd have to investigate it further. And again, it would sound a little bit more communistic than you might think. I would immediately eliminate health insurance. I'm like, no, you're out. I would even maybe start to like temporary stopgap until we could get to figure out. I would probably do a national healthcare system temporarily, because if you look at what we spend in terms of GDP, percent of GDP on healthcare, we spend so much more. I'd probably go to the Swiss and say, all right, how do you guys do it? Go to Singapore. I say, how do you guys do it? But as temporary, I'd immediately ban health insurance companies. Like, nope, you're out of here. You are a fucking parasite. You are dead fucking weight. Get the fuck out of here. And maybe we have to change some laws and all that, but I would definitely do it. Let's say I would overhaul the healthcare system. If that means it's 100% private, we go back to the olden days where the doctor would show up with his bag and do house calls, so be it. That would involve pulling the pharmaceutical companies like, hey guys, how's it going? Yeah. Well, why am I carrying a baseball bat? Well, I'm behind you like Robert De Niro? I don't know. I just feel like playing some baseball, don't you? Isn't it great? Yeah, man. So don't think I'd be like, oh yeah, nationalize healthcare forever. It would take some investigation, find out who's stealing the money. We're not stealing. We have it according to law. Sure, yeah, I know you're not stealing. Of course not. Just hit that bat in my hand. Of course you're not stealing, buddy. Of course you're not. What happened to all those insurance? What happened? Oh my God. And what happened to health prices? They went down? Oh my goodness. I don't know what's going on. There'd be a lot of the media would investigate. President King for life, Cappy. There'd be a whole bunch of other people with missing. I'd be like, yeah, man, that's crazy. Isn't it weird how that happened? But isn't it interesting that tuition prices dropped at the same time by like 80%? This is weird. A lot of weird coincidences going on, man. Like, it's odd a group of people just aren't around anymore. And then the price of cars just dropped a lot. It's the strangest thing, isn't it? Somebody in journalism better go investigate that. I would eliminate lobbyists. The only way Congress is allowed to have communications, they are allowed to communicate with their constituents, and it must be a handwritten letter. You can do letter writing campaigns, but I want your labor. There's no email forms. You will write a handwritten letter and you will mail it to your congressman or congresswoman. I would immediately reform disabilities for veterans. A lot of you are bullshitting on that. Do not lie. And there's always the fraggy-vaggy veteran like, if you lost a leg or you actually were injured, I'm not talking that. I'm talking, I got a paper cut and now I get $3,000 a year or a month. Sorry. That would be audited. We're like, no, it's we're cutting back on that. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, but we want our actually disabled veterans, or you can't hear, you can't work. Got it. Absolutely. But there's a lot of fraud going on there. I would get manufacturing back on US soil. Kind of like what Trump's doing with those tariffs. I would immediately eliminate fuel efficiency standards for cars so young people could afford them. You don't know this, but the reason, like, why do we have all these fuel efficiency standards? And then why are there nothing but trucks and SUVs made? Because trucks and SUVs get more flexible, higher limits to the fuel efficiency standards. So it is no longer, if you build a smaller car, your fuel efficiency standards go higher because because a bunch of liberal white Karens want to feel good about themselves and saying the environment, which doesn't need saving. Okay. So I would immediately get rid of all fuel efficiency standards. I would kindly ask the auto manufacturers, you should probably make fuel efficient cars or electric cars or hybrid cars because pollution is bad. Remember me with the baseball bat have the big old meeting with corporate executives, talk about making the right decisions, right? But young people need transportation. Cars are not cheap now. And I'd be like, yeah, let's get a car about $5,000 that's a good quality car that can work well. And I'd immediately say, and you don't need all these dinging and nagging devices and safety features. I want safe cars. We've gone overkill with it. We need affordable cars that are safe, that hopefully young people can work on. And that starts with getting rid of those cafe standards is what they call those. All prisoners would get some kind of work detail as punishment, but also training. So when they leave prison, they're employable. I think that's a win-win-win. So we got very clean streets or whatever. And then when they come out of prison, they're not completely unemployable, especially if they, good time, good serve. They're model prisoners. Oh, I'd have public campaigns. You know how we did, like, this is your brain on drugs and anti-smoking campaigns? I'd do that except for, like, other, like, bigger problems like obesity, single parents, worthless degrees, pink hair, droopy pants, etc. I just put like, hey, you're fat and unfuckable, big billboards. I just do a lot of billboards. I'd be a president or King Cappy billboard. Droopy pants for people that ain't going nowhere, right? Oh, wow, pink hair. You're just like all the other losers that have pink hair, right? I just do public shaming. Fat and unfuckable. Wow, you're a winner. Hey, look who's shopping at Walmart, that kind of thing. It'd be funny and vicious, and I think it would work. I'd have Good Samaritan law so we never have another Daniel Penny again. Yeah, you do the right thing, trying to protect a fellow citizen. Nope. I would eliminate property taxes, but that goes with saying you cannot have anything but a sales tax. Except I would allow for a divorce tax for parents who divorce. If you're just married, you don't have kids, none of our business. You have children and you get divorced. Oh yeah, you're a big old divorce for the both of you, and that goes into the fund to compensate your children for the amount of more difficulty and challenge you're going to throw at them financially. I would force California to put desalinization plants along their border to help alleviate the water problems that the American Southwest has, which most of you may not be aware of. But so, well, why would having desalinization plants, water plants that convert ocean water to regular water in California help Nevada or Arizona? Because the Colorado River basically feeds that whole thing, including Vegas. Obviously, Lake Mead is down, Lake Powell is down, but a lot of it is pulled off for other cities along the river that also drain water from that, including California. And what we would do is like, nope, desalinization plants. So California drains less, Utah drains less. There might be easier ways to get water into that basin. Maybe you come in through the north through, like, say, well, that'd still be California. I was going to say Reno, that's California. Or maybe the Pacific Northwest. But we'd have to get water into that basin. So a lot of people that live there, St. George, Utah, Vegas, Phoenix, Flagstaff. I mean, you think about it, there's a lot of people in that area. They did try to do desalinization plants, but no joke. Go look at this fat liberal white Karen who says, I'm voting for the plankton because the desalinization plant would kill plankton in that area. Dude, liberal white women have cost us everything in this country. Oh my God, because they can't possibly have anything not go their way. I put landmines at the border. I'd have a free speech bill that you cannot be fired for free speech. You are allowed to say what you want, and you cannot be fired for it, which would protect Democrats in this case right now, but it would also protect Everybody. Now, you can't say I advocate murder and terrorism, stuff like that. No, then that's a criminal thing. But if you say, I'm happy someone died, that's free speech. You could say that. I want you to be able to speak your mind, no matter what it might be. Along with that, free association. All right. You want to set up the straight white male poker club, and no one else is allowed. You can do that. You want to set up the Left-Handed Lesbian Association of America. You can do that. And no one can claim discrimination or anything like that. If you don't want to cook the cake for the fake gay people who weren't gay, they're just a bunch of activists hiding behind and falsely presenting themselves as gay, ruining gay people's reputation in the process, I might add. No, get the fuck out of here. That's their religion. They don't have to. I might introduce a fat tax. Like, if you want to vote, you got to weigh in. If you're more than a certain number of pounds per inch, you got to pay a fat tax. That would be on par with invading Sweden. Like, hey, guess what? This is now a tourist destination for Americans. We're gonna kick out all the immigrants you let in. We're gonna take over this little town you got here. Obscure, but I'd immediately audit the psychology industry, specifically the American Psychological Association. It is a Marxist leftist organization. Go look at their latest president they elected, and it's all about her being a woman and a feminist, and then somewhere mental health might make it in their 4th or 5th place. But the veracity of the psychology industry. I'd say, hey, look, only 1/3 of your studies can be repeated. I'd also audit, like, okay, you're going to show us all your clients, and we're going to go and look and see if you're even improving their health and mental health. And if you're not, nope. The veracity of the I would immediately start trying to, like, psychology has got to prove itself as a field that has use. It's practical. There's veracity to it. Or it's astrology, it's bunk, and now we never give it any federal money or any credence ever again. I would probably ban private equity by now. There's early on it made sense, but now it's like, no, it's just a grift. But how do you corporate bros are always going to come up with their grifts. They're always going to come up with something new. So for now, I'd ban private equity. I would ban subscription services. I would ban unnecessary internet connections and accounts, kind of like Bosch appliances, where if you want the dry cycle, look it up. Bosch washer dryer, I think it is. You need to have an app to have all the cycles. Or, Volkswagen, you need a subscription to get to get all the horsepower. Again, I see any horse shit like that comes up on the news. Oh my God. Guess what cars are not allowed in America anymore? Volkswagens. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you're not selling that here. BMW. Aren't they the same company? BMW on a subscription service for like heated seats. Hey, guess what? That's stupid corporate bullshit. I guess we're not selling BMWs in this country anymore. Right? Just the fuckery. Just the fucking fuckery. I would end corporate fuckery. You know what I would do? It would be like, look, people would be like, the globe would be like, hey, President Dictator Cappy, you play by his rules, you're going to make a shit ton of money. You fuck with him, he will Les Grossman your ass. He will Les Grossman your ass. So there'd be all these Volkswagens, right, in the Volkswagen dealership. And if I heard some fucking shit like that, like, you can unlock it, there'd be federal troops at every Volkswagen dealership saying, hey, guess what? This entire fleet of your cars is the American taxpayers now. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to sell them. We're going to give these young kids a fair deal, right? Going to discount them a little bit. And we're going to take this money and pay off the national debt a little bit. And we're like, hey, thanks, Volkswagen. Oh, you'd like access to the largest market. Well, if you weren't trying to stick your dick in everyone's asshole here, then you could sell them. But you want to play stick the dick in the asshole game. And then finally, I would ban data collection. I would ban personal database brokers. That's it. There would obviously be more. I'm sure many of you would agree with a lot of those things. A lot of you would disagree with others. But that's it. What would you do? Comment below. If you want to comment, you may comment. I hate to where we are now with the YouTube algorithms. Link below is just a link to my company, Asshole Consulting. Let's go through the super chat. Rushiel. Rush, sorry. I take a Sabbath on Sunday. I am not answering emails. I do no work on Sunday. So you guys will have to forgive me. I'm getting to that today. I got to do a lot of things. Reen, $5. Did you notice this weekend the difference between the right and the left? Oh, yeah. No cities burned down, just higher church attendance. Yeah, I got your email too, Reen, that you saw people going to church. That's great. I had no idea this would happen. To be perfectly honest, I thought the normies were so thoroughly brainwashed by the media and their K through college education and just, well, good things and good people. And Democrats are for the little guy and free shit. I thought that was such a thorough brainwashing. I'm kind of happily surprised to see that the normies are waking up and realizing just how evil the Democrats, they are. I don't say that lightly. The Democrats are evil. They're vile, they're criminals. I mean, if I was king, I'd probably like, yeah, you're all rounded up and getting tried. And then like the honest ones, which there are honest Democrats, I'm like, look, I don't want a dictatorship, although I'm dictator supreme for life. So I know it sounds confusing, but you need to set up a labor party. Got to keep the Republicans and the corporations in check. But this illegal immigrant thing and fucking letting foreigners have influence and you're lying to black people and women and minorities and keeping them poor generation after generation. No. This isn't happening anymore. Those people are out. You guys are in. Help out the poor. Like maybe the Democrat originally kind of maybe did, not really, but help out the labor. Get education in there. Get some training. Chaz Twiddler Stroke, $2. Smoke any meats lately, Cappy? I just did a salmon. I fucked up. Well, okay, I didn't fuck up the salmon. I followed this recipe. It said just to smoke it for an hour. I'm like, an hour? How's it going to get any smoke flavor? So I did it, and all I did was cook the salmon really well. The salmon, like if you were just going to cook the salmon in the oven, it was perfect. It was like perfect salmon, but it was not smoky. It wasn't. It was too, like if I get smoked salmon, I want to kind of like pull it. You put it on lox and bagels, right? You know what I'm talking about. And it didn't come out that good, except it came out great if I was serving a fillet of salmon with like some asparagus or something. So I haven't done that. I'm awfully reluctant because if you're going to smoke some meat, the meat isn't cheap. You don't want to fuck that up. And I'm batting 70%. So 70% it comes out good. But man, there's that 30% where it's like, fuck it, overcooked it. It didn't turn out right. I mean, it's still edible, but now you got to throw it in a stew. So I'm a little reluctant. Plus, I got to deal with Linux shit because next month y'all got to upgrade to Linux or Windows 11. I'm going to do a video on later. But yeah, I haven't done that. Not in the past 2 weeks. Chris Surdak, $2 morning capster, funding inbound. Thank you, Chris. The left, I do appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. This is Ken Rowe. Ken has something to say. Ken is going to speak, everybody. Normally he's very quiet. He's like Ice Bear. Ice Bear is quiet. The left Democrats equal modern day Bolsheviks. Yeah, they're criminals. They're fucking criminals. Hey, Rob Fogolski, part of the 1099 superior race. No elections needed if you're a king. I kind of know. I think you have to earn your right to vote. Landowner, business owner, 2 years military, and over 25 years of age should have skin in the game in order to vote. Right. That's why everyone pays if everyone's paying a sales tax and you're not collecting welfare, you get to vote. I think that's the most fair and universal way to offer the franchise. But right, 25 or older. Like the United Kingdom just allowed 16-year-olds to vote. The fuck out of here. I'd invade the United Kingdom. Like, no. You guys not nuclear weapons. We are not letting a government elected by 16-year-olds have control of those nuclear weapons. You the fuck out of here. Shark Taws, 20 generous dollars. Hey, Shark, you should watch this channel. Hi, I'm a possum and I like garbage. He does movie reviews of horrible movies. There was like this shark movie. It's not Sharknado, but it was a really bad movie. And it gave sharks a bad reputation, like they were the bad guys. My 3 requests from King Cappy: 1, can't vote if you haven't supported yourself for at least 5 years. 2, no marriage. If 2 people want to be together, no government. 3, sharks will be celebrated as a national treasure. I, as president, lord, dictator, benevolent, lovable, supreme, grand poobah for life, will hereby declare September 15th, Shark Day. We will all learn about not discriminating and fighting the bigotries and the misinformation about sharks and realize that sharks are our friends. Sort of, maybe. Don't piss them off. Ken Rose says hi again for $2. Vic, 10 generous dollars. With my slightly below average Italian salary as a single minimalist, I paid for 2 months' rent, an advanced driving license, dentist, a certification IT, booked a vasectomy, still have cash to spare. Where have all the good men? But bro, Vic, where's your sports car, bro? Where's your fancy flat? How are you going to get the girls, bro? You got to get bottle service, bro. Good for you, Vic. Hey, you know why Vic is one of the most free people ever? The richest people ever? Because he's got his freedom. That's why Vic is richer than most people. Big Mark, $2. Good morning to you, Cap. Good morning, Uncle Cappy. Good morning, Mark. Cyberbully, $5. Nepo babies took over Hollywood and everyone knows it. Oh, that's been the case forever, but they have taken over white collar work too. My entire company under 30s is Nepo baby. Yep. No, you gotta look. I would obviously probably keep the non-discrimination laws in as well. That includes discriminating against white people. Obviously, I'd be getting rid of DEI and ESG, and I'd probably ban Karens in HR. But you need to, yes, there should be no discrimination of any kind, but the biggest, most common form of discrimination is insiders, is nepotists, and cronies, meaning your friends, your cronies. That shit is way more common and prevalent and preventing our economic growth than any other form of discrimination. That's where you really got to go and get it. There might be a way. Like, let's say you send a resume in with an ID number, right? You get a federal register, like your social security number. Maybe you could use a social security number. And that's just your social security number. You don't provide any other information about except where you went to college, what you've done, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, people could look that up and probably figure out who you are. But like no name, no information about your gender or race or nothing else, right? You apply with a serial number, probably your social security number, and then they have to pick the best resume, right? So they don't know anything. Like, and don't put I was part of the African American Club. No, don't put that there, right? And then that way they can't figure out name, anything like that. And then they apply. You would apply, you come in for an interview, and then you'd have to go to a government database, and somehow the government database would say, okay, you got this interview over here based on your social security number, and then you come in. You wouldn't even, they'd have to have your resume. Then they know who you are. Yeah, they could still, that would only eliminate the first level of possible discrimination. You're right. $50, $5. Cap dollar amounts on civil lawsuits. No more $1 trillion judgments like done to Alex Jones for that school unaliving. Yeah, I'm not that familiar with the judicial system, so I'm sure there'd be a ton of things that change in law, the judicial law, but I'm not familiar enough with it. Tyler Brewer, $5. As king, would you accelerate quantitative easing to help? Well, duh, of course, Tyler. That's how you fight. That's how you help the little people, is you make money, printer, go burr. No, I would, there would, central banking, monetary policy. Yeah, I would basically be like, we're getting as much fucking gold in here as possible. The balanced budget amendment would help with that. I would come up with a debt repayment program for the national debt. And then it's simple, but we'd have an inflation target of 0. There's no inflation, right? Did GDP increase by 5%? All right, we print off 5% more money. Did GDP shrink by 5%? All right, we go and we get 5% money out of the economy. We will have a 0% inflation rate. Timaball, 5 Australian, all H-1Bs and their dependents deported on day 1. Not necessarily. You have to, I'm not just, you came from overseas, get the fuck out. No, there is value and having some highly skilled, enthusiastic, they like America foreigners here. So I would definitely. Oh, don't get me wrong, Timable. I'd say 85% of them are probably here, not them. I don't fault the immigrants for wanting to come here. But Microsoft, I guarantee you they're just trying to save money. Guarantee you. They could have probably paid an American another 10 grand, but they didn't want to. They tried to want to save the money. That's why they're all trying to outsource overseas. And if I saw too many companies outsourcing overseas, I'm like, okay, then you're going over it. Then your tax rate goes up, right? So at least you can audit the H-1B visa people and say, all right, how required are you? But yeah, and their dependents are going to inevitably be deported. Yes, I would say around 80, 85. Who knows? But we go through like, oh no, only 50% because they're actually doing a job. Okay, cool. And mandated traineeships for locals prior to any foreign skilled labor imports. I hope. Yeah, no, generally, American jobs are for Americans. We may need a special, let's not kick the Werner von Brauns out. They kind of contribute a little bit no matter where they come from. But yeah, no, this is America. You will hire Americans. If you don't like that, then get the fuck out. I will try to make it as zero taxes, right? I'll get rid of all the stupid regulations too. Like make it easy for you to hire people, make it easy for you to fire people. But if you're trying to save a nickel per hour to meet your quarterly earnings call, the fuck out of here. The Warrior, High Plains Warrior, let King Cappy Crusade begin. I want a big staff like Bugs Bunny. Off the deep end, $5. I'm convinced that the United States would have been better off as a monarchy than as a constitutional republic. There would be less corruption. Maybe you say that. Maybe Creed Bratton, $2. Thank Trotsky for the Democrats, his creation. Is it? Sweet kisses from Truckin', $5. Make churches pay taxes. Well, they'd have to pay sales tax. Oh yeah, there's no more nonprofits. You guys are fuckers. You guys are just arms of the Democrat Party. So you're paying taxes. Church wants to build a house, you got to pay sales tax on the lumber and the land. You want to get collection, you got to buy collection plates, you're paying sales tax. And then you churches can talk about whatever bullshit you want. Right? I don't want people worrying about what they got to say and not having the right to say it. Right? If you want to say, we're against the gays, fine, you can say it. You paid your taxes. Not our business. We got to kill the gays. Now it's our business. And you're arrested, and we took your church away. We privatized it, and we sold it. We turned it into a gay nightclub. Right? Not a lot of rules under King and Commander Cappy. Not a lot of rules, but you fuck with me, you violate them, there's serious consequences. And then everyone could kind of do their thing. Got to leave each other alone, right? Nutritionists, gyms, and personal trainers don't. Girls that lie about grape get double the time of. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would absolutely do that. Yep. False accusations, you are in jail. Twice the amount. Yep. All right, there you guys go. Link below, assholeconsulting.com. You got questions, we got answers at assholeconsulting.com. See you guys later. Toodles.